So emotions influence our perception, and our perception is the things we see in the environment around us and the valence that they take, or the interpretation we place on them. So emotions are like a filter lens. They color all that we perceive around us. So an angry person is more likely to see angry things around us, or to detect anger in someone who's approaching them, and even to elicit anger in others. A sad person will detect sad aspects of everything. So even if they're in a joyful situation, they will pick up things in that situation that seem sad to them. The color-based metaphors we use in our language reflect this. So sadness we consider to be blue, like a blue lens on everything, so the sadness emerges to them and filters out everything else. Anger makes us see red. We see fiery things around us. We see anger in other people or hostility in other people. Happiness is described as seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. So we tend to see joyful things in everything, beauty in everything. These emotions influence our broader judgments. We perceive events in ways that are consistent with what we're currently feeling. So I'll read this and then I'll give you a few examples. So emotions influence broader judgments, like our sense that circumstances are fair or safe, unfair or dangerous. And this quick example that I have is, imagine that you're just out walking and then someone approaches you that you perceive to be dangerous, approaches you kind of fast or aggressively. So even if it comes to nothing and the person passes by, your heart rate will have increased during that threat. And now you'll kind of be on alert. You'll probably be more aware of things around you, more wary of another approaching person. And you'll just be perceiving risks in places you hadn't perceived them before. Second example, I don't have an image for it. If you just watched a scary movie and you go to bed, you'll be hearing every possible sound in the house as a potential threat, or you'll be much more aware of them. Or if you've just been on a hike, and especially if you actually encounter maybe a Gila monster or something like that, you're going to be more on alert and maybe see rattling bushes around you more than you would have before. Our emotions influence also our moral judgment. So we're likely to have a quick emotional reaction to a moral question that impacts objective judgment. So skipping over to the scenario on the right, do you think the action of these individuals is right or wrong? This is from your book. Marvin and Janina are brother and sister. They're traveling together on France on a summer vacation from college. One night, they're staying alone in a cabin near the beach. They decide it would be interesting and fun if they tried making love. Janina was already taking birth control pills, but Marvin used a condom too, just in case. They both enjoyed the experience, but decide not to do it again. They kept that night as a special secret, which makes them feel even closer to each other. Right or wrong? And most people state that these actions are wrong. Like, relations like this between brother and sister is taboo in cultures around the world. And so if you ask them, why is this wrong? Most people say something, well, brothers and sisters shouldn't have sexual relationships because they might have unhealthy offspring. And so then if the researcher reminds them that this couple used birth control, there will be no offspring, they still say it's wrong, but they can't state why. And this is an emotional reaction that even it overrides any cognition. So it's a strong emotional reaction. The next example is the trolley study, and I'm asking you to watch this video, and I will be putting it up separately because I can't show the video during this slide presentation, but I will be putting it up separately. So the social intuitionist model of moral judgment is the idea that people first have fast emotional reactions to morally relevant events, and then rely on reason to arrive at a judgment of right or wrong. This is exemplified in the trolley problem that you're going to watch, in which you can see in some instances, emotion seems to guide judgment about whether the very same action is right or wrong, that is, sacrificing one person to save 5. And in some situation, people have an intuitive sense that it's wrong. And in other situations, they have intuitive sense that it's okay. So this is an important little video. Moral foundations theory is a theory that proposes that there are 5 evolved universal moral domains in which specific emotions guide moral judgment. So the relationship between what we think of as right and wrong and emotion. So first off, these are universal that people in all cultures tend to rely on. The first is care for all, protecting all people, particularly those in need, or the moral of non-harm. The second is fairness, rendering justice in ways that are fair to all people, not cheating, and maybe recognizing that doing everything the same for everybody maybe isn't actually fair, because some people might need a little bit more. In-group loyalty, remaining true to friends, family, and those in one's group, not betraying people in one's group. The fourth is respect for authority, submitting to tradition and legitimate authority, not subverting authority. And finally, purity, remaining pure in sanctity, not degraded. Now, these come into play, as you'll see in the next slide. So we know that right now, our country and even across the world, we are very, very polarized. And you might know about it in our country, like this top image is from the January 6th event where right-wing people came to protest the election. And down here are some of the opposing people to this group, left-wing protesters at a Black Lives Matter protest. And these, you might think this is just happening in our country, but it's shocking. In Italy right now, they've just elected I don't know if they call it I think it's a president there, who is similar to our previous president and who stems from Mussolini, who was a fascist in World War II. We know that this has happened in Brazil. It's happened in Germany. It's just all over the world. Israel, these kinds of tensions are arising. So this seems to be a worldwide phenomenon. So what might be at the heart of the differences that these two groups of people have? Seems to be the case, at least in one part, might be differences in these 5 values we just talked about. So you can see the 5 values listed over here on the right, corresponding with one line color. So this red line corresponds with that harm value or the care value. The green line corresponds with the fairness value we talked about earlier. The in-group loyalty is this green dotted line, or blue dotted line, I guess. Purity is the green dotted line, and respect for authority is the red dotted line. Down on the bottom, you can see that this is a continuum going from liberal to conservative. So left-wing liberal to right-wing conservative. So left-leaning people place a much higher value on non-harm or care for all and fairness for all, justice for all, and lower value on respect for authority, purity, and in-group loyalty. In-group means those people who are in your circle, who share your beliefs, your religion, your family, your friends. And you can see that conservative people have, they don't distinguish between these. They have equal importance for all of these values. And perhaps that is at the heart of what the difference is. So the fact that the left-leaning people have kind of dismissed these values a little bit more, the in-group loyalty, purity, and authority, and really gone high on the fairness for all and care for all. And that may be at the heart of some of the differences. Black Lives Matter is about caring for all and fairness for all. And that was a contentious issue in that polarity. And next we'll talk about part 4, happiness and emotion. Don't forget to watch the trolley video.